everyone, welcome to Wool and Spinning. My name is Rachel. This is the Wool Circle. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for taking some time out of your Friday morning to be here with me while we chat away at my spinning wheels. I had posted that I didn't really know what we would be spinning today and that I would update the thumbnail later on the YouTube video. So originally you guys would have seen last week's show's thumbnail come up, which I know sort of sends people for a bit of a loop because they're like, what if it's the wrong link? But don't worry, it's the same link. So I was looking at stuff over the course of the week and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then by some stroke of luck, yesterday I got some things done and I had a little bit of quiet before picking up the kids at camp. And I was able to start spinning some Pygora. So we are gonna do that today. So that is not in the show notes. We are gonna look at some Pygora today on my Lendrum with the very fast flyer. You can see it set up back here. This is a really, really fun goat fiber. And we will be looking at Pygora in more detail in October in our Spinning Pearls content. So you guys already get that. That's already part of your subscription. And then I thought we would have a little bit of a vote in the community. We can either look at some local Romney, because we've been kind of delving into a Romney rabbit hole recently, or we can look at some Canadian Rideau Arcott. So I know Christine in the community has been spinning some of that. It's from Long Way Homestead, and we can look at one or both. So if we have time, we could do both, but for sure we will look at the the Pygora comes from pygmy goats. So it comes from a cross of pygmy goats and Angora goats, which is really fun. I wanted to make a really quick announcement, and I hope that this is clear as mud. And if it's not, do not hesitate to send me a message. In an effort to simplify the Patreon tiers, I have gotten rid of the Wool Circle tier and the Attentive Spinner tier. So they were $2 difference. They were two separate tiers. They got slightly different things. And the Attentive Spinner tier got everything that the Wool Circle got. But the Wool Circle only got the Wool Circle. So, and then everything below, obviously. Everything that's below is always included. So in an effort to simplify for the fall and just to make things a little bit more easy to navigate, I have gotten rid of the Wool Circle tier, and we only have, and I've renamed the Attentive Spinner the Wool Circle. Those who are in the Wool Circle can remain in the Wool Circle. The tier does not go away. It just doesn't show up when you go to join. So if you are happy where you are, just stay where you are. Don't edit, don't do anything, just stay put. And when I reference the Wool Circle tier from now on, it will be what used to be the Attentive Spinner. So a little bit different. It just means that the Wool Circle, the original tier that many of you are signed up in, has been unpublished. So it's just not viewable, but you can remain in there and stay in there, and that is not a problem at all, and nothing changes from your end. But if you look at the landing page, it might, if you refer a friend or if you're talking about it and you're showing them, your tier, the Wool Circle, has changed and morphed a little bit. But like I said, it doesn't affect those who are already in it. So I just wanted to clarify. So when I'm talking about the Wool Circle tier from now on, it's the old Attentive Spinner tier, which is early access to Wool and Spinning Radio, the PDF download for the How I Spin vlog, and the Wool Circle, as well as everything else below. So I just wanted to clarify that, just in case you're on the landing page and you're like, wait a second, my thing doesn't exist anymore. It does, just in a different form, and your tier is still there. It's just not visible when you go to sign up. So I hope that that's clear. I just am trying to simplify some things and clarify some things and just make it a little bit easier to navigate. So today we are going to get onto the wheel and we will spin up some of this Pygora. And then you guys can decide if you want the Rideau Arcott or if you want to look at Romney and combing some Romney. So you can let me know in the chat. And I hope that you guys are all doing really well today. It's been a busy week, and I am kind of looking forward to it being Friday. We've got big birthday celebrations tomorrow. For James, he's turning 9, and so we've got something for him tonight and a little something tomorrow, which will be really fun. So we've got kind of a busy weekend ahead of us, but really good stuff, you know, really good stuff. I'm always keeping you on your toes. You're right, Eve. All right, I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you so much for the happy birthday wishes, Dana. And Eve says she votes for the Rideau. So if there's other votes, Samantha says happy birthday to James. Thank you so much, you guys. And Elizabeth was mentioning she's hoping to buy a secondhand rigid heddle next week, her first loom. That's so exciting, Elizabeth. I'm excited for you. I hope that goes well. And Eve's been trying to get her loom up and running. It's a 32-inch. It's really exciting for her. So her guild friend is helping her out. Unfortunately, all of the instructions on how to put it together are in German, so she's been having a tough time getting it up and running, which is really too bad. I'm just going to change my chat to live chat because Samantha, I knew you were going to do that. Samantha says, I vote Romney, as she said Rideau. You guys are hilarious. I can't wait till we're all together again. So let's go to the wheel, and I'm going to pivot a little bit, and then you guys will be able to still see me but see what's going on at the wheel. And it's been really interesting this week. So you know how we were having all that crazy heat, and we were under that heat dome that hit the news internationally, and now it's actually been quite cool. It's been on the cooler side, and we've been dealing, like I've been back into jeans, which is just so strange. All right, so I'm hoping that I am far enough here. Let me just move over just a little bit more. It's hard to see the camera when I'm moving around, but I moved the chat today, so hopefully that'll work a little bit better. So I put this yesterday on my very fast flyer on my Lendrum. So I'm spinning at, I think this is 24 to 1. I always forget. It even comes up in my search because I check it so much. The very fast flyer kit is it 24 to 1 or 36 to 1? 26 to 1. So this is 26 to 1. Oh shoot, I just lost my thing. 26 to 1. And I was going to go higher, but I actually found that I didn't need to, and I really liked the plyback test that I got. So what I've been doing is, Debbie sent this to me. She is a member of our community. Many of you know her from being in the Maker Mornings and whatnot. And this is Pygora. So Pygora is a cross of pygmy goats and Angora goats. And what they were hoping for was a colored fleece that would look like Angora, but of course pygmy goats are colored. So they were hoping for sort of this sort of cashmere, or sorry, Angora-like coat with the softness of the pygmy and the color of the pygmies. And what they ended up with was really interesting, was 3 different types of coats. So depending on the goat and depending on the breeding and the genes, you get 3 different coats. So I'm not totally sure which one this is, but Debbie sent it to me like this. And what I've been doing is actually just dividing it up like this, like so. And I've just been very gently, like I'm not even really pre-drafting, just kind of straightening it a little bit. And I think this maybe is type C, which is sort of long, lustrous, kind of Angora-like locks. Let me just move the camera a little bit. What do I need to do to give you guys a better view? I think I need to move it down a bit. There we go. Let's see if you guys can see a bit better there. But I have to double check with Debbie, so please don't quote me that is what this is. And I can see, as with a lot of goat fiber, it's a hair, and it can be really, really easy to sort of overspin it. But the thing is that this needs a certain amount of spin to hold it together, because there's no scales or anything, right? So it's naturally wanting to spin very, very fine. And as I was spinning it, I was finding that if I kept my backhand just really, really light and almost kind of didn't even hold the fiber, but instead I just kind of cradled it in my hand and pulled back, it just kind of very naturally spun. Like I'm not even really holding it. I'm just guiding it backward, and my front hand is pinching, and then you kind of get these like clumps every so often, and then I would just kind of draft them through. They're not perfect. This is my only complaint about this flyer. I would use this flyer way, way, way more. if it wasn't for the guide, I don't like the guide, and I don't know if there's a hack or something that you can do to kind of change it, but I don't like the guide. That's my only complaint. Yeah, so I ended up just kind of drawing back, grabbing a few fibers at a time. I'm not really holding, you can see how far apart my hands are. I'm not really guiding the fiber at all. I'm just kind of drawing it, holding it enough to draw it back, but I'm not really holding the fiber at all. And I'll show you guys the ply back test in just a minute. So this these fibers are just beautifully drafting here, and I'm just getting this really long, lustrous locks. That's awesome, Elizabeth. She's been admiring weaving for many years, and now she's excited to get going. So I've just been spinning this, like super easy peasy at the wheel, just really gentle. And then look at that ply back test. So let me zoom in for you guys. Just love that. Isn't that amazing? Just this gorgeous kind of, and it like all of these, see how this keeps, oh, you can't see right now, but you see how it just keeps, oh no, you can't. Let me see if I can fix the camera. Hang on. Sorry, I don't mean to cause any motion sickness for people. So you see how it just constantly wants to pop off the guide? So it's popped off again here. And it's just like super frustrating. And if you double, there's no way to thread it through both of these. It has to go through one. And if you put this up too high, it doesn't work either. Like, it's just kind of if there's a little bit of backspin, it's just a little bit kind of, it catches, like it's annoying. I don't know how else to describe it. So I think that you know, I would be really curious about what this fiber, what this would be like carded up with something like you know, BFL or Targhee or Polworth, and put into socks. I think this would be just unbelievably warm. I think this would just, like, in terms of, sorry, not warm, they would be really durable. These fibers are just, they're so lustrous, and you can see that in the ply back test, but you can also see they don't particularly want to bend. They want to, they sort of have like that long wool quality to them where they want to curl. You can see in the ply back, you get that loop at the end. I don't know if you can see that loop there, because they tend to loop and curl. Like, this would be just an awesome yarn for a boucle. If you use this yarn for the loop of the boucle and spun something else for the core, and for the binder, that would just be awesome. This would just make the most amazing yarn. And I find as soon as I'm up here and I'm really trying to like micromanage everything, it just ends up a tangled mess and a matted mess, and it just destroys the prep. And it doesn't create a lovely kind of anything. So I found that the more I kept my hands back and holding the fibers really gently, it just really, everything kind of fell into place. And it didn't really seem to matter how much fiber I was holding. So it didn't really seem to matter if I was holding a whole bunch or if I had more of this. Stripping it down in half seemed to help, where I would take it and strip it in half like that. That seemed to really kind of create a really lovely amount of preparation. And then as I was getting to the end, kind of putting the new stuff in with the old stuff. See how it loops, it creates that loop across the top here. Can't really see it, but every time I stop, that's what happens. And then it'll pop off. It's been like this right from the get-go, these guides, and I don't know if there's a fix or a hack. I almost kind of want to like make new guides. Not quite ready to add that new one, but I wanted to show you guys. So that is the Pygora, and it's just been an absolute pleasure to spin. Let me just look up the 3 different coats that they create so that I can speak to that properly, because I don't want to speak to that and then I'm leaving you guys kind of going, well, like what do they create? Well, they make 3 different coats. So depending on the breeding, let me just pull it up here. I have it right here. All right, so they are a cross. So the Angora produces the longer silky fleece, and the pygmy goats have the short, soft, downy fleeces. So the type A is a fine, silky colored mohair-like fleece. That's type A. Type C is a true cashmere coat. So that's probably where the Pygora really comes through. And then type B is a combination of the 2, which is really kind of cool. So if you look up Pygora fleece to see if there's any for sale, there aren't really a whole lot of there's just not a whole lot out there for sale. So somebody like Debbie might be a better resource in terms of sort of finding out what they make. So it looks like the type A is really super common. I'm thinking this is probably a type A, but yeah, I'd have to ask Debbie to be sure. So really, really fun spin, and thank you to Debbie for sending that to me, because I really appreciate that. That was really fun to play with. How does Pygora compare with mohair? Is Pygora less toothy and scratchy? Yeah, I would say so. Based on what I've got here and what I'm spinning, this is way, way, way softer. It's still got the halo that we would expect from sort of, you know, mohair and from sort of goat fiber, because it's a hair, right? So like we see in alpaca, like we see in llama, a little bit fly away. They don't necessarily know that they're supposed to be neighborly and that they're supposed to be friends and stick together like wool does when it has its scales still. So a little bit fly away, sort of more of like a hair fiber. It's not like spinning like dog hair or the Angora rabbit's hair that we've spun in the past. It was different than that. It's kind of more of like, it's sort of almost like a cross between, I was going to say alpaca, but it's a little bit silkier, a little bit more lustrous, but it's not toothy like mohair. All right. Okay, let's spin. What did you guys end up voting for? Did you, you know what? It's funny, Amanda, cross-lacing the flyer, does it interfere with the guide? I actually find if I don't cross-lace, it's even worse. So I've been playing around with some different things. What I would really like to get is some different guides and see if that would help. But finding guides that would be compatible in the right diameter is the trick. So yeah. I know, right, Zan, the rainbow that is behind me. Yeah, the gorgeous rainbow. I know. I've been working on it, and you know what the funny thing is that it is so it's not a fast spin, a fast weave. Like, it's really taking some time, and it's actually been kind of too bad because it is taking a bit longer to weave, because it's just a little bit more intense, and it takes a little bit more forethought. And so it's been a little bit frustrating. I just need some fiber to put in between. You guys will see why. So Yeah, you guys were asking how I would use that fiber and use the Pygora. I saw that question from, I think somebody else had asked it as well. Samantha had asked for it. I don't know, to be honest. Like, I need to spin up the yarn and kind of see what the yarn would be like before I can sort of speak to what I would use it for. I don't know. Okay, this is the bobbins on backwards, so it's not gonna, this isn't going to, this isn't gonna work. We'll end up spinning in the opposite direction and we'll have lots and lots of problems. So let's just, I'm actually, I don't know why, but I am running really, really short on bobbins right now. Like, I have no bobbins. And it's not because I don't not have bobbins. I am just, for some reason, I'm really running low on Magicraft bobbins. I don't know I don't have very many of these standard bobbins anyways. I think I only have 6. And for some reason, I'm actually wondering if I'm missing some, like if they've been put somewhere or misplaced. I've scoured my area here and I have not been able to find them. So that's really, really, really frustrating. So let's put on one of my baby bobbins because I actually prefer these anyways. So these are my favorites, and this is my lace flyer. And I actually prefer these bobbins. They have a really, really nice feel to them. They're a little bit smaller, and I find I can fit on about 2 ounces of fiber, which is perfect because this is 4 ounces. And this is the Rideau Arcott. So this is a woolen prep. This is a Canadian sheep breed, and let's just pull off the starter thing here. What I did before with my Long Way Homestead is I actually ended up putting it on a distaff and spinning off a distaff because the whole thing was just like flopping in. It was like a dead fish just flopping around at the side of me. And you know, it's just annoying after a while, like having that big chunk of fiber sitting there. It's just frustrating. So I'm just going to go through and pre-draft some of this stuff. And what I will do later is I'll actually take this apart and divide it into two 1 ounce bundles. And then that way, half will go to one bobbin and half will go to the other bobbin, and then I'll be able to two-ply it. I generally two-ply these Long Way Homestead spins, and the reason for that is because I'm sort of hoping for a lot of the same yarn at the end so that I can either combine it into multiple projects or I will be able to well, and also do a kind of a comparison of all of the different breeds and all the different fibers. So let's just throw this off to the side so that it doesn't interfere to what you guys are seeing. I suspect that this will end up being long draw, so let's just see what we end up with. It's very bouncy, very downy feeling. And I just have this feeling that it's going to end up very, yeah, very, very, very wanting to be long draw. Is that even a sentence? Very wanting to be long draw. So let's see what we end up with here. So not needing a lot of twist, kind of 1, 2, and on for treadling. Very, if I put any more twist into it, it's going to get really, really hard really, really quickly. So definitely wanting more of a long, just drafting the same distance back. Not too far. Trying to keep myself relatively in front of myself. I'm kind of working off to the side, but trying to keep my shoulder and my elbow sort of in line with my side and not going any further back. I used to sort of end up way back out here, and I would lean quite far to the left, and I'd be like way back here. But as you can see, your yarn starts to change thickness, and it just doesn't, you just start to get really inconsistent with your long draw yarns. If you're going too far back, you can't reach properly, you can't see, you can't control the fibers. Whereas this way, you can control how thick your long draw ends up being. You can double draft places where it doesn't want to draft through, and then you can wind on and start again. So it's about 2 treadles and on. 1, 2, lots of double drafting, lots of little hiccupy spots. If I try to wind on before the 2, it's like it won't take it. It's like there's not enough twist. So with long draw, a little trick that I got from my friend Kim McKenna is as you draw back, if you're not sure whether or not it's twist locked yet, rather than actually testing it and trying it by, you know, reefing on both ends of your singles like this, if it doesn't want to go onto the wheel really easily, it's probably not twisted enough yet. So give it another couple of twists and then treadles, and then try again, and it will just naturally want to pull onto the wheel, but you have to kind of feel for it. And once you feel for it, you'll feel it. But you sort of have to you know, try to sort of tune into your wheel, close your eyes if you need to, and try to feel that gentle tug and that gentle pull of the wheel when you know that it's got enough twist. And it won't tug and it won't pull, and you'll be fighting against your wheel, and why won't it go on? Why won't it go on? If there isn't enough twist. Long draw has a really wonderful way of telling you when it's time to go onto the wheel. And you see how when it's time, it just goes right on. It's super, super, super easy. Let me just check the chat. Yeah, I know I give you a backache, Eve, when she watches me spin in my ergonomics. I actually try really hard. Like I'm actually really getting a lot better than I was, because I know a lot of people in our community have had problems with how they spin and their ergonomics and whatnot. So I'm very aware of it. It might not seem that way, but yeah, everything I spin is always long draw, says Elizabeth. That's so funny, because some people, they never do any long draw. And then some people, that's all they do is long draw. That's so interesting. Okay, so that just broke and it just got way too thin because I was paying attention to chat. So I'm just going to reattach and just draft. So there are some sections of this that are a little bit harder to draft out. This is very, very bouncy, very, very downy. This reminds me a lot, to be honest, of my Frisian that I did. That big Frisian spin that ended up being the short cardigan. I can link that in the show notes later when I go back to update this, because I wasn't totally sure what we were going to be spinning today. We're kind of finished spinning through all of the Sanjo samplers, and the Sanjo sample box, the next spin box number 2, is almost ready for you guys. I'm really excited about what's in it. There's Mowatas in there, and there's some Angora rabbit in there. There's some camel silk in there for you guys. It's really exciting. And then you can choose from one of 6 colorways, or you can get it undyed, the whole box undyed. So I know which colorway I'm going to order. I'm really excited about it. And I think what... So because we're kind of done all of the Sanjo silk samples for luxury for this year, I think what we'll do for the remainder, or for the next little while anyways, is we'll actually start to spin through a lot of this Longway Homestead. So we'll look at Border Cheviot, we'll look at Corriedale, we'll look at this Canadian Rideau Arcott. What else do I have to spin from them? I've got a whole bunch. I've got all of my breed samplers. So I thought if we pivoted to that for the next little while, it would keep me going and keep the momentum going of getting me through that breed sampler, because otherwise those they're going to languish in my stash, and that wasn't the purpose. The purpose was to get them spun and to have 12 skeins at the end of it to show for it, and I think I've done 3. So if I could get this one spun, and then I've got the Border Cheviot to do, I've got the Corriedale, Oh, you're funny, Dorothy. She thinks that Rideau Arcott should be one of those word puzzles where you rearrange the letters. It's just because it's French. Rideau Arcott. It's a French name. There aren't very many Rideau. I might be speaking wrongly, but there aren't very many Rideau Arcott sheep out here on the West Coast. I don't think. There are some, but they're quite prolific in Manitoba. On the prairies. We were actually talking about this yesterday morning in the Maker Morning, which I will publish later today. Yeah, does anybody have any questions about, are you going to do all of them long draw? Nope, not necessarily. The Wensleydale I didn't spin long draw. The Wensleydale actually spun beautifully continuous back with almost kind of a short forward almost motion. So it really depends on the fiber. Just because it's a carded, it's sort of pin drafted roving doesn't mean that that's how it'll be spun. The Corriedale is, I'm not sure what mine is like. Somebody else in the community spun theirs and they ended up spinning it short forward, very worsted, because it was quite long stapled. So it'll be interesting to see how I end up spinning it and what it feels like. Because Corriedale to me is like, you know, spin it at least semi-worsted, at least, with those longer staples if you can. But if it's really short stapled, then no. This is very downy. This feels a lot like the Frisian. It's not super, super, super soft. It's a little tiny bit toothy, which was actually part of the conversation that we were having yesterday morning in Maker Morning was, you know, has anybody ever come across some Rideau Arcott that's actually like next to the skin soft? Because it does tend to be quite toothy. It's a dairy and meat sheep. So, yeah. You're so funny, Dorothy. I've been trying to rearrange letters and keep coming up with French sounding words. That's because they are French words. You're so funny. Yes, Dorothy says I need to get out more. Yeah, I think it's time to start opening up, right? All right, I could keep spinning this all day, and I'm sure that you guys are ready to get on with your day. If there are any last minute questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the morning. Thank you for coming along this morning and for spinning with me and for playing with all of these really fun fibers. If there are any requests and anything that you would like to see spun or anything that you would like to talk about specifically, please don't hesitate to reach out and to ask. You can always comment in the Patreon post. Or even right here on YouTube. So that is, that's great. Samantha's wondering, are those baby bobbins working with the fine flyer or only the this is the fine flyer. I think I called it the lace flyer earlier. It's the flyer that you can get that gives you the whirls up to 28-to-1 on the Susie. So I think these are the baby bobbins. If Laureline was here, she'd be able to speak to it because I always forget which is which. The lace flyer, and you can get the lace bobbins, which are the fat core bobbins, which I have, which I don't love because they don't take as much fiber, but they're great for spinning like silk. And then these are the baby bobbins, which have the thin core, which are really nice because they fit quite a bit of fiber. So I can spin like a full 2 ounces to them. And the flyer's just really light. It's really, really a pleasure. And these new bobbins, as expensive as they are really quite nice. They're my favorite bobbins that I own. We looked at Angora. Eve is wondering about Angora Rabbit going to be in the luxury fibers. We actually did Angora as part of our 51 yarns. So you can go back and look at that because we had sort of just done all of the pet fibers and Angora was one of them. So it sort of felt a little bit too soon to repeat that content. So when Debbie suggested Pygora, I sort of jumped on it because I thought that was just a great idea. And just, just looking for different fibers, looking for some different stuff to do. So, we hadn't done Kiviot yet, so we did Kiviot. We hadn't done cashmere yet, so we did cashmere. All of these weird, we haven't done yak and camel yet, so those are coming up in September. So all of these weird and wonderful fibers that we can come back to again and again and again and make quite a spinning sort of study of them if we want to. And yeah, we will never run out of fibers and things to talk about, that is for sure. So thank you so much for joining me this morning, everybody. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you here bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:30 Pacific Daylight. So I hope that you have a wonderful Friday, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.